I think a year into Keir Starmer's tenure as leader of the Labour Party, it's still quite unclear what his defining policies are.
I will bring our party together. Climate is the defining challenge of our era. Draw a line on anti-Semitism and revitalise the high streets. Radical economic and political devolution. The thin deal is better than no deal.
I think many inside the Labour Party would have liked to have seen him set out his stall a bit more by now. And one reason it's important to do that is that you only have a pretty narrow window as a new leader to do that with the public, to let them know who you are, what you're about.
Normal politics was abandoned last March when the pandemic hit, and since then we're in a health crisis, not a political one. And in a health crisis, people don't want to hear political points.
The Prime Minister risks making the mistakes he made at the beginning of the pandemic, brushing aside challenge.
So it's very hard for Keir Starmer to make a mark, and that's why Boris Johnson is using this moment to streak ahead with a massive state intervention programme which leaves Labour with very little to work around.
This government, as he knows, is massively increasing universal credit, 7 billion more to help the poorest and neediest families in our country.
When he's up against Boris Johnson, he faces a particular struggle. Boris Johnson, what he stands for, it's clear, it's boosterism, it's optimism. If you look at Keir Starmer and what defines him as a person, as a man, as a leader, he might say decency, he might say family man and family values, but I'm just not sure that that can really compete with the uplifting nature of Boris Johnson's appeal to the electorate.
Are you booked in for April the 12th?
For the pub, yes.
The key task for the leader of the Labour Party in the wake of Jeremy Corbyn is to move it into a more electable place.
This is obviously a very disappointing night for the Labour Party.
Inevitably, that means dragging it somewhere nearer to the centre, rooting out anti-Semitism and rebuilding the party's credibility on national security and defence of the realm.
Back in the days when Tony Blair was in charge, I was voting Labour.
No, I don't think he's strong enough.
Well, I'm listening out for that deep philosophy behind any individual opinion or policy.
At the moment, it doesn't feel there's any direction.
It looks like we're going back to where Labour was in the 90s. They know that the left wing has got to keep it a bit quiet to present a united front to the electorate.
We absolutely have to refocus and be very ruthless with ourselves in the Labour Party.
I think there is a growing sense that the Labour Party is out of step with the values and priorities of working people.
Slowly but surely, I think Jeremy Corbyn's memory is fading from view, but don't forget, of course, that most of the members who joined the party are still what I would describe as Corbynistas or left-wingers. And that pressure on Starmer might come back and pull him to the left. I think that what Starmer missed last September was a fight with the left. He needs to fight them and beat them, and that might happen at a party conference, that kind of thing.
We have to end the factionalism. The saying that a divided party will never win an election is true.
Unfortunately for the Labour Party, the Conservatives are very much alive to the division in its support base. The Tories are very much exploiting the culture war, which they see as a key wedge issue. They are talking up the flag, they're talking up patriotism, dismissing what some describe as fashionable parts of the equalities agenda, and that's all designed to make sure the Conservatives can shore up their vote in the red wall, perhaps now it should be called the blue wall, to create further pain for Keir Starmer.
You've got to distinguish between the advocacy of certain things that are right, and you can say that about whether it's about gay rights, transgender rights, whatever it is. You've got to distinguish between that and launching yourself politically into a kind of culture war.
I think Labour does understand the electorate better now than it did in 2019. It's gone some way to fixing some of the problems around rooting out anti-Semitism and racism, which obviously goes down very badly with voters, being strong on defence and defending Britain's values and place in the world. I think it also understands it needs to be credible on the economy. But in that space in particular, it has a real challenge right now from the Conservatives because Rishi Sunak is promoting a high tax, high spending agenda that would traditionally be the preserve of the Labour Party.
And our approach to fixing the public finances will be fair too, asking more of those people and businesses who can afford to contribute and protecting those who cannot.
Keir Starmer is the right leader for the Labour Party. The party's gone back to what they think works, a Tony Blair figure, a moderate figure, a uniting figure. And also Blink, and you can imagine him walking through the doors of number 10 Downing Street with his family. Slowly but surely, a vision of what Labour is under Keir Starmer is emerging. He wants Labour to embrace the flag, not shy away from it, because he knows that in many Labour heartlands, the flag matters. I call it the bunting test. I think Labour needs to embrace bunting. Bunting is by its nature ridiculous, but also it matters because it shows a community cares about the country it's in. It's literally the strings that bind a community together. That's what working class communities are about. Bunting can't be funny, bunting is serious.